Hello, everyone. It's Friday, which means one thing. It's WOW Ergonomics at midday for your delight and delectation. And we have a guest to bring in. So I'm afraid I'm going to have to push out the banner if we can. Everybody push out the banner so that
everyone raise the roof. Bit of that.
Raise the roof. Push out the banner so that we can make room for the wonderful Alison Thomson, the safety elf. Hello. It's been a while. It's been a while. How have you been keeping, my dear?
Very well, thank you very much. It has. We've been trying to get this date in the diary for so long, so it's fantastic. We finally made it.
You've had a few problems with the old Wi-Fi, haven't you?
I have. Oh, don't even get me started on Wi-Fi. No. But hopefully the Wi-Fi gods are smiling sweetly on us today. So let's keep everything crossed.
Yeah. And even in the background there, you've got what's his name? By the way,
this is Ergo. He is my skeletal helper. He is not my skeleton in the cupboard. So
I love the fact he's waving.
I have actually got another skeleton hidden behind me, which he might make an appearance later because he has a slightly different purpose. But yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Doesn't everyone have a stack of skeletons in their office?
Absolutely. Is he a bit scared? The other one?
He's a bit shy. Yeah,
a bit shy, a bit spineless. Stephen's looking in disbelief.
No. Stephen's trying to think of another joke to do with the bones to try and follow that up, but my mind has gone completely blank. So I'll leave that with me.
You're a blank disc at the moment. Yeah.
As opposed to a slip disc.
Welcome.
As opposed to a slip disc. Yeah. So, Alison, for people that haven't seen you on WOW Ergonomics before, because you have been on, thank you very much in the past. Tell everyone a little bit about who you are and what it is that you do.
Okay, I'm Alison Thomson. I'm the safety elf because for me, the posture and ergonomics is part of elf and safety, everybody's favourite topic.
Got the puns in there today.
Oh, yeah. And we're only 2 minutes in. How many we pulled off already? For me, people's health and safety it's people tend to think health and safety is all about paperwork, but for me, it's all about people. And if you actually do the right things for your people, then the paperwork and the outputs are easy because you're just capturing the good stuff that you do.
Now, I've just got to stop you there, Alison, because obviously I forgot to do this before we came on. So I've just got about 20 questions on my phone that I need to go through. But that's it, isn't it? That's the trouble. I mean, paperwork, sort of prevails in the health and safety world, and we've talked about it before. Stephen and I on numerous occasions, but one of the problems with paperwork or any kind of form-based thing is that people just want to get it done. I mean, I think we all have this thing about forms. We hate them. So we just want to get them out of the way as quickly as possible. And therefore, we probably are not as honest with ourselves and other people as we ought to be. Would you say that's true?
Yeah. Dare I mention the words DSE checklist? Everybody's favorite tick, 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 please make it go away. Rather than, this could actually get me the help I need approach to the form. But yeah, absolutely.
DSE standing for don't survey everybody, or display screen equipment. I mean, even that as a term, actually, display screen equipment. I mean, it just sounds so 1990s, doesn't it? Which it is.
It is.
1992.
Yeah.
Originally.
Yeah, it was part of the 6-pack that came in 92.
I mean, will we still be saying? That's what I want to know. Will we still be calling it DSE in the day and age where actually everybody's using holograms and pushing buttons up in the air? I mean, yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Technology is changing at such a rapid rate in terms of what we're doing, and yet so much of what so much of how we look at workplace safety is very historical, isn't it?
Absolutely.
What's the worst thing for you, culprit wise? What are you still seeing sort of most people sort of centering on, which really is kind of old hat now?
Where do I start? Goodness me. I guess for me that it is this thing about it, paperwork, that, it's when I get inquiries from people who they're interested in my services because they're applying for a tender and they need to have specific paperwork in place. And you have a conversation with them and it quickly becomes apparent they're not going to change what they do. It's just about having the piece of paper. And I think that psychology for me is just, that's really tough.
You just want me there so that I can sign off on your rubbish.
Yeah. And I would say to them, I'm not your person, because I will challenge what you do and I will push you for change. And the paperwork you get will reflect what you actually do. And if what you do isn't good enough, then that's what the paperwork will show the reality.
And you'll bring Ergo along with you.
I will.
Yeah.
Yes, and all his friends.
Yeah. They'll be there and they'll be pointing the finger. Well, literally like a little bone anyway.
Yeah. A digit.
The digit.
Yeah, the digit of doom.
Yeah.
Stephen, how do we get out of this rut? How do we get out of this cycle that's prevailing? I mean, you're working on something as an organisation yourselves to kind of take this more digital and actually, help to kind of get people thinking about it in a different way. Is technology one of the ways that we can help in this situation?
I think it is. I do think it's people continuing to bang the drum, which is all of us in the sort of ergonomic world, as it were. Education's got to carry on. I think also culturally, I know one of the things you've referenced, Graham, is the fact of a lot of more younger people, younger CEOs, etc., in organisations who maybe are a little bit more open to getting the correct things in place, maybe looking beyond how much is something going to cost, but what is it actually going to add from a value perspective. So I think there's a number of sort of levers to pull on this, and we just need to keep persisting with what we're doing. But I don't think there's necessarily one solution to all of this. We need to have lots of things working in tandem at the same time. But it is amazing, when I've been out 3 days this week working with customers, and it is amazing how you still see a lot of the old habits just going on in and within very high profile organizations that aren't, you touched on DSE there, people not following the guidance not being sort of used within their organization to educate people. So I think we've got a long way to go, but we're certainly seeing organizations and individuals acting better, but there's a long way to go as far as this is concerned. I think we've just got to keep Alison and everyone else out there, keep talking and pushing and promoting, and I think we will get there. But we're not even halfway there. I don't think. There are still so many people who are just quite laissez-faire about the whole setup piece, the health and safety and the health and well-being of their staff. It's got a long way to go.
How do we get people more Bon Jovi then, Alison? How do we get them halfway there?
Or
are we living on a prayer?
No, you can't say that.
But for me, the frustration is when that people don't do the simple things, like just stand up, just move. It's you don't need an expensive bit of kit to do amazing things that make a real difference to your body. All the research that came out of NASA with Joan Vernikos about, and they've done all the research about the negative impacts with the astronauts who didn't have gravity, and then turned it on its head and went, okay, the majority of us have gravity. How can we use that to benefit our health? And just simple things like if you stand up twice an hour for every waking hour, you massively reverse some of the negative sedentary health effects. That's not hard. That's
and everyone has got one of those. Oh, blurred.
Set a timer. Yes,
There.
absolutely. Yeah, and just doing that, and people say, "Oh, that's a really good idea," but it's because it's disruptive. I get it. If you set a timer and then it disrupts your thinking, you're on a call. But if you can persevere and get past it, it just becomes the thing you do. And you see the flashing light, and you can just stand up and have a stretch and sit down. And from the bit that I bolt on, I'm sure both of you guys have heard me talking about my Wiggle Break Wednesdays.
Yeah.
We have, but people out there haven't. So let's talk about your wiggles.
I'm a huge fan of what I've christened a wiggle break. So it's a movement break. So literally just get up from your chair. Yay!
Oh, hang on.
Oh, hang on.
There she is.
She's cut the guest off.
Here, I'm still wiggling. Yeah, roll your shoulders, shake out your arms, whatever it is that your body's telling you need to do. And then when you sit back down, have a conscious posture reset.
Sit back down for a minute. I'm still going.
You're still on the wiggle, aren't you? Yeah,
I'm still on the wiggle. This is fantastic.
It can be a 2
I wish I had one of those fake legs, Alison, so I could get it up here now, just to impress everybody. But no, it's true, isn't it? And do you know what? As you said it all as well, I have to tell you, as you said it all, 2 guys jogged past outside, just kind of proving the fact. I think they may have actually even been listening to you.
Absolutely, yeah.
Great. Who told us, Graham, that really great tip? There was on the show just before Christmas, and they said about putting your phone away from your desk. Who gave us that bit of advice? And they said, don't have your phone on your desk. Have your phone on a table in the background or the bed or whatever. So if the phone goes off, it forces you to get up and go and answer it, rather than sitting there and going like this. Actually, you've got to get up and move. And I can't remember who told us that, Graham, but it was a great little tip.
That's brilliant, because everybody who has one of those devices has a real FOMO moment. You hear the buzz and you're like, I have to know, and I have to know now what it is. So if you had to get up every time that you had a notification, that'd be amazing.
Lots of little tips like that. I mean, on a different call earlier this week, I was telling people about what I call micro breaks, and but also micro meetings as well. And I micro breaks are great. Micro meetings are awful, and people out there do micro meetings in offices all day long. If you don't know what a micro meeting is, it's where somebody comes up to you at your desk to talk to you about something, and rather than say, do you know what? Let's go over there for a minute and have a cup of coffee and talk about this, right? They just stand there over the top of your desk. You probably even experienced this morning, all right? Your boss comes round, or someone else in your team leader comes round. They stand right behind you and they go, so Dave, and you go, oh yeah. So I just want to talk to you about those figures that we had last week. All right, yeah. And meanwhile, you're halfway through something on the screen. You've got emails going, so you're kind of half interested in that. You're half interested in that conversation. Nobody's getting up. Nobody's moving. You're not actually moving away from your desk. You're not really interested in that conversation, right? Because you're part interested in that. So you're not really taking part in that dialogue. If you'd all move, right? You've got breakout chairs over there. You're not using them. If you went and moved and just, 100 yards, right? Get a cup of coffee, sit there, focus on each other. Not only would the movement be there, but the focus on that conversation would be so much better as well. Sorry, rant over. But yeah, that's what we need, isn't it? We need we need just to think about the little things in order to get it to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm also a big fan of habit stacking. So so pick something that we all know it's really hard to start a new habit. The thing that on January the 1st, I am going to do this thing, and it becomes a real barrier, because then it's like, oh, I haven't done it and I failed. So an easier way to introduce a new habit is to say, okay, every time I go and boil the kettle, I will do this while it's boiling, because you're tagging it onto something that you already do. rather than having to create a whole new headspace for to do something new. So it might be that you do some squats or something when you do the kettle, just because you want to do a bit of exercise. Or
it's amazing you've said that, because that's what I've started doing. I've started doing star jumps when I go down and do the kettle. The only thing I would say from a health and safety point of view is don't do it with the kettle in your hand. Yeah. It's just not a good idea. Stand away from the kettle and whilst the kettle's boiling, do it. You just have to clarify these things, because some people might not get it. Yes, Susan said you're right, Graham. Yes, I normally am, but occasionally. But yeah, Susan's possibly experienced that kind of micro meeting thing at the desk already this morning. And if you've been one of those people, let us know. We'd like to know about any ergonomic disasters that you're having. In fact, I just want to say at this point, if you've got an ergonomic disaster and you send send us a photo, you might even get some kit out of Backer to help you sort that out. But we will tear it to shreds. Yeah. That is the prerequisite of that. Now, Alison, whilst you were saying that before, as a creative, you gave me a really great idea, because you said, and I think this is part of the problem, you simplified it. You said, just move. And I think that's absolutely brilliant. I think actually what you should do is after we get off today is you should go and buy that as a website if it's not there already, and you should trademark it, because just think, somebody's already done it for eating, right? Yes. And we've all fallen into that, right?
Yes. Yeah.
It's so simple. It's just like, it comes up on your screen on the telly and whatever, and the little jingles there, and it's like, did somebody say? Yes, they did. Order your food and eat it, right? Yeah. What we need to do is we need to make it that simple. We need to get the kind of phrase out there. Did somebody say, just move? Just move. It just, we could even get Snoop Dogg in.
Well, stretching the budget there, Graham.
Although maybe he's actually not the best person when it comes to moving. Maybe we could go for some athletes, though.
Oh, yes. Well, I don't know, actually, because then people think,
it's only for people that are really fit.
Yes. Yeah. And that's the thing. I was on a networking call recently, and I was saying something about the moving, and then you get popped into breakout rooms, and someone was saying to me, but they have some real physical health challenges, and I said it doesn't mean go and run a marathon. It literally means, it's whatever you can move, and she can sit up, and she can stand. And so I was explaining to her like the power of just standing up twice an hour, and she's like, wow, I can do that. And it really inspired her, because it was something that was actually within her physical skill set, and she had no idea that it could make such a powerful difference to her body. Because it's not about fitness. That's a different thing. It's about offsetting the negative health effects of our, of sitting. This whole thing of sitting's the new smoking and all of those kinds of things.
Wouldn't it be great, Stephen, if we could get all of the people in the ergo world just for 1 week to put aside all of their differences, all of their different branding and whatever, and like on LinkedIn, you've got that ring round you. Yeah, where you could actually personalize it, and some people have done that from time to time. Wouldn't it be great if we got everybody that's involved in the sector to have a ring round, and that went, did somebody say just move? And we all put it up there.
Yeah.
And we all did a tiny little video that, and all put it out at LinkedIn at the same time. We kind of coordinated it, and it's just like, hey, everybody, I just want to tell you, did somebody say just move? Be brilliant. It would go. The whole thing would go viral. I'm telling you now.
Yeah.
No one's going to do it because it's just. But it's a dream of mine. It's a dream of mine.
I think we could get something. We could get people to record some sort of clips and a little bit of a montage and put them together on this show. Now that's more realistic. If we could get a lot of our sort of WOW guests to come on and do that, chop it all together,
and we could do it as promo for the show. Yeah. Let's do that.
I'm loving it.
Yeah, you see? Da 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 da. That's the power of jingles. They really stick with you.
Yeah.
You see, and we didn't even mention the name, and people already know what that is. If we could get Just Move out there as a, people, because that's the thing, we need to simplify this. And half the problem has been the word ergonomics, and we've talked about that over the last few weeks with some guests that come on that aren't in the sector at all. We've said, what does the word ergonomic or ergonomics mean to you? And the responses back were quite interesting, weren't they, Stephen? People were saying, well, actually, I didn't know what it meant, and I was a bit frightened of it because it all seems a bit sciencey and that sort of thing. And then in terms of the word ergonomic, yeah, that's a bit cheap, isn't it? It's like everybody uses that as a term.
They were seeing it as like a bit of it. They were sort of seeing it how we've seen it, and I know I've mentioned Guy Osmond in the past about the use of the word, has mentioned it, but almost seeing it as an adjective. Forgot the right word there. Adjective to describe a product. So not as in what's the true meaning of it, but they see it as an ergonomic mouse, an ergonomic keyboard. So they were seeing it in the true adjective as opposed to whatever it should actually be. So that was interesting. As you say, we got people from outside the sector to give us their thoughts, and it was all quite common, and it shows how, I suppose, effective putting that word out there has been just by sticking it in front of the name of the product.
Yeah, it's like this. This is my truly ergonomic pen. Look, here it comes. It's coming into shot any minute now. There it is.
Yeah.
Because it's got a dog on the top, so it must be ergonomic. Yeah. But that's
me. As soon as I see the word ergonomic, I'm looking behind it for the pound signs, because people think, you have the same product, but you call it an ergonomic something, and then you can double the price.
Yeah.
So sorry, was that a bit cynical? Am I allowed to be cynical on this show?
Oh, we're always cynical.
We're just probably the most cynical people on the planet. But we do it in a cheery way as well. And it's one of the reasons why it's really important that we get ladies like yourself on, because otherwise it could just turn into Grumpy Old Men Part 2.
Grumpy Old Men show.
Do you know what, Alison? I was seeing Ergo in the background, got me sort of thinking about some conversations I've had this week, and I'd love you to sort of put your spin and explanation on it. But I've been talking to people about Graham and I's old favourite of laptops flat on a desk and the neck and those sort of problems. And I was talking about the whole head weighs 6 kilos, bowling ball, and as you move the angle of the neck, it increases. Could you just sort of give your sort of, I guess, your sort of feeling, understanding, explanation around that? Because it's really, that I find is a really interesting one to get people hooked and to understand why they should be doing something. And again, we're breaking it down to a piece of kit here, but I'd love to know what you think or how you would describe it.
Okay. I've got a prop with me.
Yes. We love props.
Are you up for this? Okay.
Yeah, of course.
So, right. If anybody's watching, have you got anything handy that weighs about 1 kilogram? So this is a bag of sugar. It's a bag of.
I love the fact you got that there.
I know. What can I say? So when I go into companies, I take at least one of these with me, and I pass them around. And so have a if you've got anything handy, a hand weight, anything like that, have a feel of what a bag of sugar feels like. Okay, and then imagine that you'd gone to a new personal trainer, and they said they were just going to Sorry, I'm doing this backwards. Hold that thought. Hold the personal trainer thought. Okay, so that's 1 kilogram. How many bags of sugar do you think the average human head weighs? Now, I know I'm talking to the informed audience here, but
it's about 6 to 8. 6 to 8.
Well, obviously, it for you guys having such, incredibly dense grey matter, then it's going to be so around 5 kilograms.
Okay.
And people don't, and that's why it's important to have felt what 1 kilogram feels like.
Yep.
So then you say, I say, imagine you've gone to a new personal trainer and they've said, I want, so hold out your arm, hold out your hands, and they load you up with 5 bags of sugar. And then they say, right, I want you to hold that there for 8 hours. See you tomorrow. And you'd be like, after about 10 minutes, you're thinking, okay, this person's really lost the plot because this is really heavy, and my arm's about to fall off and my shoulders are screaming and all of those kinds of things. But that's sort of what we do when we're stacked head over shoulders over hips. Then our body is in the most stable position and doing the least work to hold itself up. Okay, as soon as your screen is in the wrong place, or you're using your phone and this thing starts to happen, then all those muscles, tendons and ligaments in your neck, your shoulder, down your back, into your lower back, they're all frantically hanging on to 5 bags of sugar. And remember what that felt like. And then if you go a bit further forward, then you're adding in part of your upper body weight as well. And then you add in, you've got your mouse and your keyboard over here because you've got all your papers in here and you're mousing and keyboarding over here. And now they're all trying to hold up the weight of your arms as well. And that's not for 2 or 3 minutes, that's for really prolonged periods of time. And then we wonder why we're feeling sore. So it's kind of I try to kind of flip it on its head and give people a real point of reference for why this makes such a huge difference to their bodies and why they might be feeling the way they're feeling, by tea break time.
And the point is, it's static weight loading as well, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's the hardest thing for our bodies to do, because we're not. Movement pumps the blood around the body, brings oxygen, take the toxins away. But that static movement is the most challenging thing that you can ask your body to do, and that's what we do at our desks all day, every day.
Yeah, years ago when I had my own practice, I actually had T-shirts that I used to give out to clients, etc., and they had quite an interesting sort of picture on the front, but the catch line on them was, my favorite position is the next one. But it was just trying to get people to think about the fact that actually, there were so many people out there that when I went to see them would say, and the thing is, I'm sitting properly, and I'm doing it like the poster says. I don't understand why my back hurts.
Yes.
So do you ever move? No, never move. No. Right. Okay. Well, that's why your back hurts, because you're not moving. Yeah. And so,
I have people apologize very apologetically or guilty. I'm a bit of a fidgeter. I'm like, hurrah! That's brilliant. Fidgeters of the world unite, because you're moving.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I totally agree with that. I remember very clearly going to see a whole room full of young people who were at a call center, and there was one guy that said, I never seem to have any problems with my back or whatever. And I said, I'm not surprised, because he was up and down like a rabbit. He was just like, yeah. He was like up, down. He'd be on the phone. He'd be standing up for a bit,
Yes.
But because of that, he didn't have problems, because he was constantly moving.
Yeah.
He probably had some kind of neurodiversity, etc., as well, but which meant that he was quite hyper, but it served him well. It absolutely served him well. He was moving. But we're very British, aren't we, Alison? That's part of the problem.
Yes.
Do you not think when you go and see people, do you not find that people are actually a little bit conscious of if they're like doing something like moving or whatever, that other people think they're not working?
Yes. And also it's the thing with them, and I know you guys have had conversations around sit-stand desks, but I love that comment.
My favorite position is the next one.
Wow. When nobody wants to be the what, when everybody's sitting down and you hear that zzz, and everyone's like, oh, who's doing what? And it's like, you don't want to be the one who's kind of, you don't want to be the only standing one. And it takes, I think it's for offices where it's kind of being rolled out, you need to get past that. If you have a few people who are already fans of sit-stand desks, and so that you don't have someone who has to kind of be the one who does it. You've got people who are just totally into it, and they're not going to sit down for anybody. So it's, you know, I'm standing for my meetings, and that's great. But yes, it's that you don't want to be the person who's seen doing it differently.
Is that part of the problem, do you think, Stephen? I mean, we've talked about that before. It's kind of getting it to be a kind of accepted behavior as well, to actually use equipment or do something in a different way as well. I mean, I remember going to a large bank building once, and a similar sort of thing, and I wanted to get someone standing up occasionally at their desk, you know, and using the sit-stand desk, and they said, I can't do it. And I said, why? What do you think's going to happen? And I literally, in the middle of this building, I just shouted, and I just went, I'm standing up.
And he was then escorted from the building by the security guard.
No, because I don't care. And but the thing is, and I said, look, nobody's moved. Nobody's turned around. Nobody's looked. And do you know why? Because they're all in the same position as you. They're scared, right? That somebody else is going to, you know, if they move, that everybody else is going to look at them. So I've just shouted and nobody's looked. Do you really think that everybody's going to look at you because you're standing up? That's a silent activity. Nobody's going to notice.
It is a cultural thing. You're right. It is. I think it's a cultural and potentially a British thing that people don't want to stand out, and therefore would rather just go, well, if everyone else is sitting down, I'm going to do that. I'm almost going to be a little bit sort of, I suppose, acting like sheep, really, potentially just following. But actually, if you turn that on its head, if you could get the direction to go the other way, everyone would do it. But everyone's like, I'm going to go with the majority. I'm safer in numbers. So if they're all sitting, I'm going to sit.
Can we pick up on Susan's comment here? Because I think this is quite interesting. I'd love to get your take on this, Alison. So she said every large company should have an ergonomics course for all staff every 6 months. Now, I'm gonna question that. Two things: should it be every large company? Should it just be every company?
Every company.
And also every 6 months. Is it something that we can confine to a period? Because for me, I think it ought to be kind of a rolling thing on an ongoing basis anyway.
I think anything you need to keep posture as a live thing on the agenda. So, you know, doing a mix of things like doing some lunch and learns, doing some you know, the frustration sometimes is, you know, you get asked to go into a company, and you can go in, and on the day, you know, you've made a difference, but you know, within 2 weeks, the majority of the, you know, for some people, it will have been really significant, and they will hold on to and embed the changes. But for the most people, real life will have intervened, and they'll have forgotten how amazing they felt on that day, and stuff's just got in the way. Whereas if you can keep going into a business, and so keep waving the posture flag. So literally, it might be all it is they know that the posture person's in the building today, but that puts posture back in their mind. Let alone, you know, it's kind of as a live thing rather than it just being something we did 2 months ago, and that's strange.
It should be sort of part of inductions, shouldn't it? Really, when a company is inducting new staff. They should. I mean, that to me is a great starting point. Of when you begin, we'll bring you up to speed with what we do, what our policy is, how we work as a business to address that whole piece, and then a rolling piece from there. But you really need a starting point, and a starting point for everyone is when they join that organisation. So again, is it something around, you know, not just how to switch your laptop on, how to book your holidays, you know, how to you know, if you've got a personal appointment, you know, how do I make a dentist appointment? Actually, how do you set yourself up, and what does the company do, and how do we support you to get you started, to get everyone off on the right foot? And then, as you say, lunch and learns, or little sessions, or people going in, or more classroom type activity to keep them up to date with all the changes that are happening.
Yeah, I mean, I love to do things like a video. You know, if you go into an office where there's typically kind of 1 or 2 main models of chair that is probably. One load is the chair that they inherited when they took over the office, and then the second lot is the one that they bought to, you know, as they've grown. So it's usually, and there will be odd other ones, but there's usually 1 or 2 key ones. And do a video of this, like, right, if this is your chair, then this is what all the knobs and levers do, so that they actually immediately it's a welcome to your chair, a welcome to your desk. And if there's any other bits of kit like monitor arms, it's like, this is what you can do with them. This is how you do it, and a quick reminder about why it's important. Just so they're not waiting for the posture person to turn up. It's just right there.
Again, with my creative head on, I've been thinking, like, as you were talking as well, that friend of the show from the past, Tom Morley, with his drums.
Yeah.
Right. Now, you see, he goes into businesses now to talk to them about confidence. Really, it's about teamwork and confidence, etc. Yeah. But again, thinking about the fact that you've got different people going into businesses, looking at things in different areas, etc. Maybe there's opportunity there as well. Imagine, Alison, if you could have someone that could lead drumming, and you could get them in to encourage everybody to move. But you could kind of half the day in terms of posture, half the day in terms of confidence.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah, combined, all in one go.
Well, and there is that real thing about there is a real interconnection between posture and how you feel. Because again, I'm not telling you guys anything you don't know. Some of the old school sales training used to be about stand up to close a sale, because it changes the way you breathe. It's about smiling. People can hear the smile, and if the make a power stance before you go into a scary meeting, because your brain doesn't differentiate between the actual and the fake it till you make it. But and I'm not saying fake it till you make it in all senses, but there's the ripple effect of
You're so right. And you know what, the amount of call centers I've been into over the years, and if you're a call center manager and you're watching this throughout the week, and just watch the body language of some of your staff. But if you've got guys on the telephone and they're whether it's sales or even things like retention, where they're trying to retain a customer, and if they're all like, yeah, okay, well, so over the desk, are they going to be effective?
Yeah,
of course they're not going to be effective. They're not as effective as they could be if they're actually there with it. And go back to that young lad that was he was the top salesperson as well on that team.
Yeah,
right, because he was excited. He was showing he was excited in his body language as well, and it was coming out on the calls to clients. Yeah, I can help you with that. Let's do this. Yeah, how can I help you? Yeah.
What? Yeah.
How many do you want?
Whatever.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Bye. Next.
He's done this before, hasn't he?
I've certainly been in a lot of call centers over the years. Yeah. I've seen it. But that's the thing, isn't it? Is that it worries me in organizations when people are like, we need to target things like how much time someone spends away from the call, etc. Because we're on KPIs, we're on targets. It's important. They've got to get through all of this, etc. But it means that their people are not motivated. It means that their people are unhealthy. It means that their people aren't feeling great about anything. And then they wonder, why isn't this necessarily helping? Maybe less is more sometimes. Maybe just do, allow the fact that you're not answering quite as many calls, but make every call count.
Yeah, make it
quality over quantity, isn't it?
Yes.
There we go. They
Very
say
true.
you can tell when a person is smiling through the phone voice. Yeah. Every time, Susan, every time. Always smiling on the phone. Absolutely. So what is the one takeaway, Alison, that we should all be looking for in terms of how we should be approaching our workstation audits, our DSE, as it were? What's the one thing that if we're doing it at the moment, what's the one thing you said at the beginning? Sort of form filling is kind of out the window. If you've got a company that are listening at the moment, and the way that they're approaching it is to once a year get the forms out, put it around the business, or it's an online form, etc. What's the starting point? Where should they be going?
Education.
Right.
Absolutely. So for me, that's absolutely key. So many people don't understand, and that little bit we did with the bag of sugar, that's part of my education bag. Is if people understand what the key posture principles are and why they're important, and the bag of sugar bit is the what part, helping people understand why it's important. As if they don't understand that, they won't have the motivation. The majority of people won't have the motivation. I mean, typically people who are already in pain or discomfort, they're motivated because that's not nice. But everyone else thinks, I'm fine. I'm not, right now I'm not feeling achy and sore, so I don't need to worry about that. But actually, if people can understand the why it's important, they're much more likely to take a little bit. We're not expecting, I'm not expecting everybody to change everything, but if everybody just change one small thing, your body notices every small positive change that you make. So that's my aim when I go, when I work with people, is can I just encourage them to just do one thing differently? Then that's a huge win. And then the next time I see them, if they're excited, if they've managed that, then I can maybe add in one more small thing, and over time that's a big difference to their bodies. So
and it goes back to your stacking comment before, doesn't it? Is almost getting one and almost building on, and not almost trying to change them overnight with 6 or 8 ideas, but pick out one, the most important one, and then build the next time, build and slowly sort of get them to change.
Absolutely. And that's why one-off interventions, I'm not saying they don't make a difference, but they don't make the biggest difference, because the message gets lost. And it's so much better when you can go back and check in and remind people of that bit and spot when they're ready for the next thing.
The other thing I'd really love to see a little bit more of as well is companies beginning to do proper time and motion studies as well. And the reason I say that is because fundamentally, I believe when I've done time and motion studies before ahead of sort of office or even retail design of an area, and I've stood there all day and I've actually videoed it, and I've seen where people stand, where people move to, etc., walk around. You show it to somebody higher up and they go, oh, I didn't know that. I didn't realize that. And I don't know whether you've ever seen those programs on the TV where it's about secret snacking. They're fantastic, those programs. They get people in and they go, what do you eat in a week? Oh, I think I'm doing quite well at the moment. I'm eating this, this, and this. And then they send a film crew out to spy on them as they go through the week. And they show people going into shops and like buying a chocolate bar or whatever and just eating it or whatever, and they go and they count it up at the corner of the screen. They go, well, there's one, it's like a bit of pizza or something, or someone hands them. They go into an office and someone goes, do you fancy a donut? Yeah, I'll eat that. And then they take all of those things and they put them all on the table alongside everything else that they've eaten during the week, and they go, that's actually what you ate during the week.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, I didn't. Yeah, you did. And then they show them the footage and they went, oh my goodness, I had no idea. I would love to see people actually just like film in an office for the day, and when people go, oh, I sit all right. I don't think I have a problem with my posture or whatever. And then they see
there rubbing their neck. Oh,
they're
doing that all day.
And I think the biggest one would be laptop use.
Yeah.
I think the biggest one is laptop use, because I think the biggest excuse for people not using accessories around the laptop is, but I don't do it for very long. But I bet to goodness, if you actually did a stopwatch on it and you went, well, actually, when you went in that coffee shop and you got that laptop out and you started working on it, do you realize how long you were there? You were there for an hour and a half.
Yeah. I think the other one would be that, oh no, I move quite often. It's like this is 2 hours in, and apart from reaching for your mug of coffee, I haven't seen you move at all yet.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's like, you know, it's like the old comedy sketches go, yeah, I get plenty of movement when I get down the pub.
Yeah.
That don't count.
No, it doesn't. It really doesn't. Alison, you know, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on today.
Oh, thank you. It's been great to be here.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
If people would like to get a little bit of safety elf in their life,
Yes.
and who wouldn't? Yeah. How do people get in touch with you? What's the best place?
LinkedIn's a great place. So I'm on Twitter. I'm safety elfing. Just Google safety elf.
This is going out live on Twitter at the same time, and we do have a following on Twitter as well. So, and what are you known as on Twitter? What's your Twitter handle?
Safety elfing.
Safety elfing.
Elfing. Yes.
Right. Check that out on the Twitter. You could, people on Twitter talk like that. On LinkedIn, you can find Alison Thomson under Alison Thomson, the safety elf.
No P. There's no P in Thomson.
No, it's Thompson. Okay.
Yeah.
There we go. And there you go. So look, please, people, do touch base with Alison, and you know, find out a little bit more. And if you're a musician that does the drumming type thing, the Tom, if you're watching this, you know, maybe you could do a day with Alison. And I think we need to follow up on the Just Move thing as well. I really do.
I'm seriously going to follow up on the Just Move thing.
I'm slightly concerned that Susan, who's been watching the show, has used it. I wonder if she's taken advantage of us doing a live broadcast, and it's already been registered.
Has she actually? Really? Have you already registered it, Susan? If you've registered,
yeah, Professor.
I'm gonna check afterwards. If I can get the domain, if I can get a Just Move domain at all, I will get it. I'm pretty certain it will be used up, but you know, we'll see what we can do. But I'm gonna reach out, Stephen. We should reach out. We should see how many people we could get to do some just little clips saying, everybody out there, we just need to say today, just move, and do the Just Move thing. If we can compile them all together, put them out in one thing, it'd be great. We could even have a Just Move day.
Yeah.
You know, once a year. Yeah. And just bring the attention that, you know, everybody needs to get out and get moving. So do that for the rest of the day. Thanks for everybody for Susan mainly. Who's, you know, the amount of comments she's put on this is going to go viral.
We'll have to start charging per comment here, Graham. We could cash in here.
Thanks to Alison, our guest today. Thanks to Stephen. Brilliant. Thanks as always. Graham. We will be back next week with another WOW Ergonomics. Until then, take it easy out there, be safe, and do get moving. All right? It's important.
Just move.
Just move.
Just move.
Dun, 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 dun. Bye for now.